You're such an asshole.
AssholeConsulting.com. We have a very interesting question here today, and a product. I'm not plugging this. I'm just saying it came across my desk. Something that might interest a lot of you young men or old men, men in general, some women too. And it's going to take a little. Well, it took me a ton of time. I'll provide the link below, but it was a 12,000 word article written by the founder of the Art of Manliness. His name is Brett. Some of you guys obviously know that website, but I'll provide it below just to warn you. It's a small book, was what he wrote. And this young man wanted my opinion on it, but I'll go ahead and read it here. Aaron, thanks for the quick reply. I'd also like to get a quote on a different request. I know you know of the Art of Manliness, and it just recently came out with a new program called The Strenuous Life. Brett himself wrote an article introducing and explaining its goals here. I know you don't like reading or doing anything that takes too long for your requests, or you don't mind doing them as long as the customer pays a fortune. But I honestly think that, even if not for this request, I recommend you at least read the first few paragraphs before you decide not to look at it. But you can read about the broad basics without the backstory, which I think is integral to understanding the movement, at the official website here, strenuouslife.co. If you really hate the idea of reading a long article, I want to know if you think the program looks like it's worth $200. And I want your opinion on the movement overall. I think a video on this topic could improve the lives of your listeners specifically. How much would it cost you to charge for a video of this topic? I just kind of screened through it. I'm like, that'd be $50. And I'm like, oh shit, this is going to take a long ass time. But it's a lengthy article, just to warn you guys. Now, to summarize the article and explain what this program, the Art of Manliness, is coming out with, the Strenuous Life. Basically, the article goes back to the Industrial Revolution in the 1850s or so, where steam power and railroads and the cotton gin and other advances made life a lot easier. And then it focused on the second industrial revolution, where electricity, gasoline engines, and everything made things even easier than before. And then it draws parallels and analogies to today's digital revolution that is making things even easier. And what he did, in a brilliant way, I might add, he did a lot of research, a lot of work went into this, not just the writing, but the research, is different philosophers, proto-psychologists, if you want to call them that, and just writers and authors, started making parallels and observations that, okay, for all of human history, up until about 1850, 1860, well, after the Civil War, let's just say 1870, mankind had worked with its hands. We were in direct contact and sometimes conflict with nature, and this forged and galvanized the human race into what it is today. And I say today, even though that was 200 years ago, because there's 2 million years worth of human evolution in existence that forged us, programmed us, provided us our genetics, our biology, our instincts and everything, making us what we still are today. And the various revolutions, industrial or not, that have come along have rapidly changed our environment, making things a lot easier, not just a lot easier, but removing us from what was once an upfront, close, and personal relationship with nature. Well, not everybody, most people were farmers back in the 1800s, and now barely anybody is a farmer. And so back then, every man had to be a master of all trades. You had to know how to chop wood, you had to know how to plow fields, you had to be a farmer. Women had to know how to sew, how to do this, how to do that. But with specialization, if you want to revisit M. Smith's The Wealth of Nations, and technological advancement, now you do one thing. You are a lawyer. You are a surgeon. You are a mechanic. I am a podcaster. You are a barista. And because of economics and advances in technology, we could produce a hell of a lot more if we all focus on this one very narrow aspect of this large economic machine. And then not only does that, we play these little micro-cog-like roles in these large machines, it produces a lot more, but technology is getting to the point where, and they've kind of focused on the digital technology, where information is practically free. I mean, you really think about it, you get your cell phone, you have the world's information right there. So it makes things, I mean, I was even thinking like, you know, like, wow, you'd sit there and you ponder, what was the name of that guy in the, oh, what was it? And nobody at the table knew. I know it's a an obscure observation, but think about how much cumulative human time. You'd all sit there for 2 minutes, 10 people. That's like half an hour after a while of cumulative wasted. And then somebody, oh, it was Bruce Willis. Oh, shit, yeah, The Last Boy Scout. That was a great fucking movie. Now, bam, you're done, and now you have all this excess time. So what Brett draws and advocates of strenuous life is that they observed this in the olden days, these philosophers, sociologists, proto-psychologists, is that as life got a lot easier and easier and easier, there was a malaise, an ennui, a listlessness, a pointlessness, a depression almost that started taking over more and more, particularly men, because life just got too easy. And you were no longer a craftsman, you were no longer a tradesman, you were no longer a soldier. He goes through 4 different things. You were no longer, what was it? The saint. You lost your agency and purpose from being a farmer who worked, look at all I made, I am directly supporting this family, to somebody thrice 10 times removed, when you consider supply chain and all that, to a computer programmer who's programming code so that a widget does this on a robotics machine over at GM that makes steel cutting easy or something. So this point and purpose and agency and reason and purpose in life is removed from men, and so what came was a counter-revolution epitomized by Teddy Roosevelt, and they kind of use him as kind of the father figure of this, where there was sports, and there was boxing, and there were adventures. If you think, was it Templeton? Was he the guy that did the Antarctic expedition and it failed, and it was an amazing, I think it was Templeton's whiskey. They found his whiskey. Let me just double check this. Templeton, Antarctica. Templeton. Maybe it wasn't Templeton. There was a guy, he went down there, they got boat stranded, and they took a dinghy and sailed. It was just an amazing, heroic thing. So a lot of these adventures, the Jack Londons, all these different, early Indiana Jones type of guys went on these great adventures to find, we're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, we're going to climb Mount Everest. They went out to get back in contact with nature, get back challenge, get back point, purpose, and agency, and reason in living life. And what Brett and the Art of Manliness draw parallels from is today. They cite statistics that are somewhat similar to 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Suicide was going up, narcotics use, booze, alcoholism was going up, in part because it was more available because of the Industrial Revolution, but there was nothing else to do. And it's like, well, what do we do now? I don't know. Heroin, opiate use was up. And even though a lot of that is illegal now, you can still get it. And alcoholism today, suicide rates are up across all Western nations, across all racial categories. And so he makes the argument in the case, which I don't think it's an argument. He's 100% right. That life has gotten so easy that man has lost touch with what normally gave him purpose, reason, and agency and value in life. And so the irony, or the paradox that results, is here we are in grand comfort. Grand. I can grab my phony phone and order shit now on Amazon, and it's delivered to my fucking door. In the olden days, if I wanted to get food, I'd have to go out to my yard, till it, fight off varmint and crap and deer and poachers, and, well, people wouldn't poach, but thieves. And then after a lot, like thousands of times the labor, I might get a kumquat or a carrot. Now I can get a bundle of carrots delivered here tomorrow if I wanted to, for a fraction of the cost in terms of time, labor, and money. And that ease, even though we have all that ease, it has made us, it has brought us, skyrocketed us through Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the point where at self-actualization we're like, what the fuck now? And you're like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go watch some TV, or I'll watch some Sports Center or ESPN, and whoa, who are the top 50 black athletes? I was having breakfast earlier today, and at the screen, who are the top 50 black athletes? I'm like, wow, that's the point, purpose. That's what is at people's minds right now, So this has resulted in a malaise, an ennui, a depression, and suicide. In short, because humans, especially men, were not designed for this shit. We were not designed for this shit. We just weren't. And I know a lot of you guys, especially in the manosphere and the red pill community, I know this is the biggest problem I personally face in life, is there's nothing to do. There's no calling. There's no compunction. And so I force myself to go out and do things. So I'm going to go for a run today. I'm going to hit the gym. I'll probably go for a motorcycle ride. I got to do a podcast. I'm doing asshole consulting. But even then, let's admit it, that's pretty fucking easy shit. This is not like, you know, I'm a fucking Amish guy raising a shed today. I'm yelling at the internet, you know, clicking buttons. I mean, my day is going to be this, you know, that really, and then maybe some running weights. But and he even mentions it in it, like merely going through the act, talks about wanderlust, like everyone's got to travel. Well, that is merely treating the symptom. Like, yeah, I go on my motorcycle rides, and a lot of you travel too, or you go on different adventures, you take up different hobbies, but it doesn't answer. That's just trying to keep novelty in your system. That's trying to keep your mind off of things. It doesn't answer things to brotherhood, duty, service, and sacrifice. And so that's what this program, the Strenuous Life, is about. Now, in short, what it is, I looked through the program, and then after reading the the tome that Brett wrote, it's kind of basically the Boy Scouts for adults. You could get merit badges. 50 of them exist now. There are routines and regimens that you must go through. And you sign up online. I guess it costs $200. I didn't really look at price. I just reviewed what the service was. And you agree to participate in this program. And you have two responsibilities. You go through a boot camp of sorts. You have two responsibilities: to do a good deed for the day, and then to do 60 minutes of exercise. And there's other things that you can do, but you slowly earn your merit badges, or quickly. And this then, through these acts, through this regimen, you're given, presumably, point, purpose, agency, and reason in living. And then this young man wants to know, okay, is this program worth $200? And I have mixed opinions on it, but we will see whether or not the Strenuous Life, in due time, if it grows legs and is worth it. Now, to answer your very short question, do I think it's worth it? If you can afford it and you're in a bad point in life and you think this would help, sure, why not? I know $200 is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much money. All right? In other words, it can't hurt. And that's the one thing I like about the Strenuous Life program, is it's, you know, it's like it's any other kind of program. What's the one? The chick losing weight stuff. Weight Watchers. Here's a schedule. Here's a program. Here's a regimen. Here's a routine. Follow these rules in this routine. But this is obviously more spiritual, and you know, it's not just about losing weight. It's much more. It's got a soul to it. All right. And if you were to follow it, yes, absolutely. I know a lot of, well, practically every man. I don't know. You'd have to be a really dumb, you know, light beer swilling, wings horking dolt with another man's jersey over at Buffalo Wild Wings. You have to be so stupid you actually think ESPN is entertaining. I wish I was that dumb and ignorantly blissful. But if you're not in that lower third of the IQ scale and you happen to be in the upper two-thirds, I think this would be of benefit to pretty much every man, because I think every man has this problem, like, oh, well, I sat at my cubicle job and I came home. Oh, and then we watched Game of Thrones. Holy shit, the dragons came. Who knew that? That lady did something funny. I don't know. I was watching people watch a Game of Thrones party, and there was more interesting shit going on watching the party than there was the actual show, the Game of Thrones. Regardless, yes, I think it's worth it. As long as you can afford it. I know a lot of people. I know back in not too long ago, $200 would have been an issue for me. You know, I can understand that. But I think right now, as per the call of the Red Pill, the Manosphere, websites like Return of Kings, Rollo Tomasi, my site, was it Chateau Hartis? There is this huge gap of fatherly upbringing and wisdom. And I think this is probably a little bit more detailed and structured, like a how-to manual. Like, here is this. Here's a program for you to go and hone your skills and practice and earn merit badges and stuff like that. So it is absolutely not going to hurt. And I think if you're in kind of the listless haze, they call it this weightlessness in the article. It's worth $200, but ultimately, this is probably my main problem with it, is that it's completely on the honor system. It's completely up to you to go and adhere to the regimen, reach those goals, and earn your merit badges. Right? And that's where, this is where I don't know if it's going to succeed or not, because the one huge flaw I see in the strenuous life, the one huge flaw I see in most people's lives, is that it lacks meet space. You're not meeting these people in person. Which is ironic because it doesn't necessarily admonish, it appreciates, but it says, look, the problem that we face comes from this technology that removes us from being up close and personal with nature. But we're going to use the internet to meet up, which is fine using it as a tool, but I don't see how this is going to succeed unless people actually meet in meet space. I would say that's more important even than the regimen itself. There's nothing wrong with the regimen. I think it's great. I think it's on target. But the biggest problem men right now have is you don't meet peers. You don't see other people in person. This is the problem, probably my biggest problem that I face. And I found this very interesting and curious because I've kind of gone down this road and I've started looking at the fraternal orders like the Eagles, the Masons, the Elks, the Moose, the Oddfellows. Because I want to meet them. I want to be with a group of people. You want to get back to that nature. This doesn't allow for that. You can certainly form your own groups. And maybe this is the start where if there's enough people, you get enough people together, like, the Elks. At one time, these various fraternal orders had millions of members. And you can still see it today. You go down the road, you see the VFW or the Elks Club. So there's a critical mass of members that you can all meet at a particular spot. And I think down the road, and like I said, this is to be seen, if the strenuous life becomes successful enough, they could get to this critical mass point where, okay, now you can actually start having charters or members and or chapters. I'm sorry, chapters. Okay, here's the chapter at the WBL. Here is the Winnetka chapter of Strenuous Life. Here is the St. Petersburg chapter of Strenuous Life, and you get to meet people in person. And the closest, like I said, aside from the fraternal orders, the closest I've ever found has been cigar lounges. That's about the closest you're ever going to find. But, and here's the second major problem I think the strenuous life is going to face. Be it the fraternal orders that already exist, the cigar lounges that exist, the meetup groups. I participate in meetup groups. The majority of those people, although they are meeting and naturally fraternizing anyway, they do not have the direction, the goal, or the mission, nor the willingness to pursue the strenuous life. In other words, they just want to play poker, smoke cigars, and drink. Okay, nothing. Those fraternal orders, all they do is drink. That's it. That's all it is. There's no larger goal, calling point, and purpose. And leading to the second major drawback that I see of the strenuous life is even within the red pill community, the manosphere, the men in general in the population, and women too if they'd like to join, but talking with men. Through my trials and tribulations, I'm sorry, even within that community, most men don't have the desire or within them to do this. When I go out and I either attend meetups or whatever else, I'm appalled at the number of frauds, posers, and fakes. Even those, I'm not talking necessarily the fans or the readers or people that just show up for fun. I'm talking the fucking prophet speaking, you should do this, and then I meet, I'm like, dude, you cannot, fuck mountain climbing, you can't even run a mile on flat land. You live at home. How many people do we know? Like they're all talking about this and that and that and this, and they're giving you wisdom. They're dispensing advice. They're telling you how to be a man, and then you find out they don't have a job. They're begging for money off of other people. They live at home, and they're fucking they're 28, 29, even in their 30s. And this is the second problem that I think the strenuous life is going to run into is on the internet, everybody's an alpha male and they're all doing that. Oh, yeah, man, girls be like this and I'm working hard. I'd say 1 in 2, at best 1 in 2 of those people are actually legitimate, are actually true men who suffer the same ennui that most of us legitimate people do, who would really like, okay, I want to, and actually have the temerity and the strength within them to go and pursue this. The rest, I'm afraid, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. It's keyboard jockeys. They're participants only because this is convenient to them. They got their keyboard and then mom comes in with the shit pan as Cartman plays World of Warcraft. In other words, the digital community is not only much larger, but much more spirited, invigorating, excited than they really are. I mean, this is number one problem I personally face in my social life. I just did a video about amazing friends. I have truly amazing friends. Submarine commanders, B-52 pilots, snipers, not to do the military thing, professional boxers, who else? Some motors. I have, thankfully, some really great friends. But the problem is, even these great friends, they're stuck in their respective towns. They don't have the freedom, they don't have, and I got to go and travel and visit them. I'm in a town, what's the Twin Cities, maybe 2.5, 3 million people with the suburbs included. I have friends that have been my friends, you know, and we used to go and do stuff. I got a buddy 5 miles north of me, more like 10 or 15 miles north of me. You just can't get these people to do it. And these are presumably the conservative, libertarian, carpe diem, let's go get it, hey boys, and it is pulling teeth. I tried ever so slightly, not to the extent that Brett did with the Strenuous Life, but I tried ever so slightly, as far as my logic took me, that what would be of real benefit would be to form a militia. Not a who dang diggly, dang, Mexicans coming in. It was more like, okay, if the shit hits the fan, it would be, the number one commodity is who's got the biggest army. And that's the number one, who's going to lay down the law. And I was saying, like, it'd be good to have a team of men to come together, you know, because guns are fun. Who doesn't like shooting guns? We can have girls too. We all get together, all on the same board, and we do basic training. We have, I have a couple buddies teach us about marksmanship and shooting weapons and cleaning weapons and stuff like that, survival, and almost like a National Guard kind of thing. We do training maybe monthly, so that if something bad were to happen, even like a hurricane or something like that were to happen, it's like, okay, we know how to operate a gun, you know how to clear a gun, you know how to find water, all this stuff. And I was thinking, like, okay, all my friends who are conservative or libertarian or at least not leftists would like to do this. And oh yeah, that sounds great. Like, hey, let's how about this? Oh no, I can't. Oh, I can't run. Oh wait, hang on. We gotta. It's like, and then I realized, again, kind of like the manosphere, the digital world, the red pill world. Well, if that's any kind of indication, not the digital. When I've met people, they're cool. But I'm saying people that are actually going to go out and do this, maybe 1 in 10. Maybe I'd say more like 1 in 20. Because if my go get them, get their America with the masculinity, and I look at my friends locally, you got to put a gun to their head to go get a beer. To go for a walk, not a run, a walk. And Minnesota's pretty flat. It's not like, hey, let's go run up that 6,000-foot mountain. It's none of that. It's like, hey, do you want to walk around the lake in the park? Huh? We can get some Chipotle after. I'm going to have my cheeseburger with bacon. So, the larger point, whether it's I got to drive 2,000 miles to find anybody to go hang out with them, or the lack of friends here, the abundance of friends here who don't leave their home, or when you meet somebody from the red pill manosphere world, you realize they are not what they claim to be, and they are not capable of becoming, frankly, real men. I'm afraid his target market is going to be much smaller than he realizes. Now, what's great about his business model is I don't think there's any huge upstart cost. I mean, there's no physical cost. This is a program. This is like a book. He's giving, like, here's your program, please follow it. And it would definitely benefit anyone who participates in it. And I would argue, even if $200 is a lot of money to you, if you are like basement-dwelling loser, or just depressed and sad because there's nothing apparently more to life, even though you have everything in life, this is worth the $200. It'll get your blood flowing. It'll get your endorphins going. It'll give you regimen. It'll give you, even if it's faux point and purpose, it's some kind of point and purpose. And there's always that outside chance that the strenuous life would become a true brotherhood, a true movement, where men would say, you with strenuous life? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you meet up and you're having good philosophical chat and you engage in physical challenge and you learn crafts and all this other stuff that Brett endorses. But I'm sorry, I think it's too long, too late. In other words, most American men have grown accustomed to this easy lifestyle. I mean, there was an article not too long ago, I think last week, a psychologist was doing studies and showed how there's a spike in young people's depression in some since 2007, since the advent of the smartphone, and that this is just completely wiped out, depressed, done nothing for, further removed Gen Z from nature and reality and human point and purpose, more than Gen Xers or millennials. But even including Gen Xers and millennials, we've been stewed in this for so long, it's very unlikely you're going to see any significant percentage of these people wind. And he doesn't need that much. He doesn't need that much to start having chapters being built. But I don't think it'll get past the online or digital stage. And this is of no disrespect or criticism to Brett. Brett is 100% right. If you have 5.5 days, you can read his article. It only took me an hour. I'm a slow reader, though. It was maybe more like an hour and a quarter. I'm not good at reading. I don't read's good. He's dead on. He's 100% right, but I think he's overly optimistic as to what percentage of men, like pretty much every guy could use this, absolutely. But horse and water, I don't think. And here's the thing: I feel so bad because I know exactly what he's up against. I'm going to start a podcast. Are you really? Okay, and then they're like, well, it's been a tough time. And it's like, no. What separates excellence from common is that you go the extra yard. You don't put in 40 hours a week. You put in 60. You try different stuff. It's not, well, I'm busy. Everybody's busy. I think that's one thing. If you got people who just can't figure out that you have to run a two-prong approach or put in 40 hours plus whatever your side project is, or they lack the spirit of life to put in the extra investment now that will free them down the road later. They're just too defeated, like after school or work. They're just, I don't want to drink and I want to watch my fucking Price is Right, even though Price is Right isn't on at night. Well, whatever they're watching. I don't see that. And it's not the regular population. You see that in the regular population. Again, the idiot with the other man's jersey horking down wings and cheering on his team. I see this in my own group of people. Friends I like, cherish, love. Humans are the most important thing to me. And it pains me where it's like, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Hey, let's go on a boat. Hey, let's go fish. Hey, let's just get together and chat. It is truly depressing. It is truly depressing. We're just like, fuck. I mean, hey, I have cigars and free booze. Come on over. Oh, you're so far north. Oh, well, I'm kind of tired. Oh, we just had a long day. Oh, I just worked in the yard. Okay, never mind. And that is what I think. In other words, humanity is too far gone for this to gain any traction. You will get some, and it's going to be some of the top-notch men and women out there that he'll probably get with that. I'd love to like maybe have a national, like if there was a national convention, like there's a critical mass, enough people sign up. I'd be curious to attend that. But I just don't think he's going to have that many takers. And he might have takers, like, you know, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Weight Watchers doesn't care if you lose the weight or not, as long as you buy their shit. I think Brett is not that cal. I think he does genuinely, because he wouldn't have written the treatise that he did otherwise. But he'll get a lot of people who will sign up, give him the money, but the fuck if they're going to follow through on that regimen. They're just not. This is like losing weight, going to the gym, running, dieting, stuff like that. And I just don't see Americans and Westerners in general having the desire and the will to do this. So, in conclusion, if you would think you would benefit, like you didn't have a father, you've used me as you've hired Asshole Consulting for some brotherly, fatherly wisdom. You've sought out and implemented the advice, recommendation, and changes from people in the manosphere, in the red pill, in the elder brother community. Sure, I think this would be good because you're going to actually probably pursue it, and it's not. This is only going to improve your life. There's no downside to this at all, none. But as a viable nationwide movement, I don't see it happening. I just don't. And again, no criticism to Brett, the Art of Manliness, or anybody working on, or the Strenuous Life and anybody working on. Great idea. It is sadly trying to sell truth is trying to sell truth to women. Hate to sound so sexist. Men like tight asses, big boobs, and long hair. That doesn't sell. Didn't know if you knew that. Telling high school kids, you better study calculus and STEM and hard stuff up front because the liberal arts don't pay. Don't you ruin my dreams. I mean, there's too much of going on. I don't think it will be received well. So I do wish Brett and Strenuous Life the best of luck. If you like, please do contact me. Let me know. Because like if also, oh, dude, you totally missed this thing. It's really awesome. And they're like, okay, cool. Let me know. I do wish it the best of luck. And I am kind of curious to see how it evolves. But ever the eternal pessimist, because you're always proven right. I think it will be only reserved for some truly high quality men. Probably the top men in the country. Who have that self-discipline and desire to achieve. But there's just so few real men left in the world. It's really sad. All right, hope that helped out. You guys got questions, go to assholeconsulting.com. The old Captain for a fee will answer your questions. And you can check out my other books, Bachelor Pad Economics, Curse of the High IQ, Worthless, and particularly to this, that'd be germane to this topic, Get Reconnaissance Man. Get Reconnaissance Man. That would answer a lot of things here, or parallel quite well with the Strenuous Life. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.